Let's just shake on it.
I want it in writing.
Moving forward with the Dekker team. Moving forward together with the Dekker team.
We are honored that we've been able to create for you free access to actually over 683 Life's Inside Track episodes. I keep saying an old little number.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. And the great news is they're on insider tips, making house home, how to build wealth wisely, and you can get access to them anytime, anywhere, pretty much anyhow, including if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, you might want to go over to Dekker Team YouTube channel and get a subscription so that you can get the episodes as soon as they come out. Exploration. I love the exploration segments.
Okay. What are we going to explore?
We're going to explore that real estate purchases and agreements are much more than just a handshake. They really ought to be in writing. Because although occasionally a handshake does carry the weight, it isn't very assured.
Yeah, it's not legal in real estate.
It's not.
Be known.
It's not. And it's really, a handshake's not worth the paper it's not written on. Right? And so we're going to just go through a little bit of real estate basics. We're spending an entire month on the basics. And why do the basics matter? Well, they matter because if you don't understand them, they might just cost you dearly, whether it be money, time, stress, energy, or a lawsuit.
Yeah, and the contract.
Did you hear the last
The
piece?
lawsuit. Yeah, I know. I'm just going to say the contract's so important that it clearly stipulates what is what. And fortunately, 35 years.
Yeah.
We've been able to protect our clients, both buyers and sellers, by writing clear, competent contracts.
Yeah, and the fun thing, and this is rat out on Yetta, sorta, when I learned how to write contracts, and when you started writing contracts, we didn't have a computer.
Yeah, they were all handwritten, memorized.
They were memorized, handwritten. One of my first purchases was carbon paper so that I didn't have to write every agreement 6 times, because at that point you needed 6 copies. Well, one for every party to the contract plus each company. Yeah. And so I would get carbon paper, but I also had a duotang. Do you even know what a duotang is? Do they still have duotangs?
Yes, they have duotangs.
Okay.
They're the paper folder thing with the 3 clips that you put through your holes in your paper.
Right. And in that book, which I carried everywhere I went, were the standard clauses. And then I learned how to write my own clauses, because at that point, what if the clause wasn't in the book?
Yeah.
You were in trouble.
And that's what realtors run into these days, actually, because the ones that have, maybe 10, 15 years, they have grown up with all the clauses sitting in the computer, and they just pull the ones they want. But when they need something that's custom, something that's not in the ordinary, they usually come to one of the old timers like us and say, I don't want to be called an old timer. Oh, come on. You're saging. I'm getting older. It's fine. So let's talk about a few of the elements.
There's really 5 core elements, right?
Okay, yeah.
The 5 core elements. First one
is the essentials. The essentials are things like your name, your legal name, the legal name of the seller, the legal address of the property. It's not the municipal address, although that goes on there, but the legal description of the property. And then the price is an important piece.
Yeah. Name,
next?
price, descriptions. That's the essentials. And then we move from the essentials to the key dates.
Yeah.
And dates. It's not just a key date.
Right.
So the first one I think that everybody focuses on is the closing date.
Yeah. And the one that everyone forgets is the date of the offer.
Yeah.
That's just the date that you started. It's not the date that it's accepted. It's just the date it was written and you started the offer.
Right. And then there's the closing date, the day you get keys and the day you give away your money, depending on what side of the fence you're on.
Or you get the money and give the keys away.
Right. It could go either way, right?
Yeah.
And then there's an irrevocable date. And I think for many clients, that date is confusing.
Yeah, date and time.
Date and time, absolutely. And the date and time for irrevocable just means how long is the offer open for consideration by the other party?
Yeah, and irrevocability is a long word, but it really means you can't take it back.
Right.
So when a buyer gives an offer and says, this is irrevocable till noon tomorrow, they can't take it back. If, for instance, it didn't have any conditions in it at all, if the seller signed that they agreed to it at 11:59 a.m., that property is purchased by the buyer because that offer was irrevocable. Even if they had a nightmare in the night and decided, I don't want to buy it anymore, I want to take it back, they can't. It's
Correct.
irrevocable.
That's right. As long as it's accepted within the irrevocable period.
Mm-hmm.
So every time the offer might be countered, which often happens,
Yep.
in a counter, we create a new irrevocable. And along with the irrevocable time and date, it says by who is it irrevocable by.
Yeah.
So
Either-
that word is
either
constantly
from the buyer or from the seller.
Right.
It bounces back and forth.
Right. And then the other date, which ties to the irrevocable, is on the back of the offer. There must be a date and time as it relates to when was the offer fully executed. And it needs to be by the party that didn't extend the irrevocable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with electronic signatures, it's not really the back of the offer anymore. It used to be when they were printed.
Yeah.
That's where that
I
signature
still see
would
it in my head as a back of the offer.
Yeah.
So we'll call it page, I
5.
think it's like page 5 now. Yeah. Crazy.
Signature.
And then there's also the date in relation to conditions, relation to terms,
Yep.
and even potentially relation to warrants, how long they last, dates related to that. So, and then there's a title search date.
Yeah. Title search date, it's important to know. That's for your lawyer to look and make sure that there's nothing on title that will affect your free title when you purchase, whether that's free simple, condo, or whatever. They're looking for things that might be in there. So we're going to invite you. We're going to invite you. We're going to invite you to our Building Wealth Wisely workshop, March 20th. Jump on the dekkerteam.com website and register there. All right, Yetta, we got 3 more and 2 minutes.
I
Let's
was
go.
thinking we'd do it in the next segment.
We did this again. Here
Okay,
we go.
so the other is the Schedule A. And on the Schedule A, there's going to be warrants, there's going to be terms, there's going to be conditions, and there might even be a right of first refusal condition. And, you know, if you're going to run into this stuff, you want us to talk you through each of them in more detail.
Absolutely.
But this gives you an overarching understanding of what might be on the Schedule A.
Yeah, don't try this by yourself.
No.
The
Chattels.
next thing is chattels. Chattels are really what's included that could be movable, like a fridge, a stove, washer, dryer, that kind of thing.
Right.
Then we also put what's excluded. So if you want to take your chandelier, for instance, then you've got to write in there that you're taking it because it's physically attached to the house. I'm looking up at ours.
Yeah. And mirrors in bathrooms and such.
Yeah, that kind of thing you want to.
And then the last piece, which is essential, is remembering that the fine print is usually unchangeable in an offer. There's a few situations where the fine print, which is pre-printed on the form by our governing bodies, doesn't change. But anything that is added is usually a larger print than the fine print, and it takes precedence over the fine print. So something in the fine print, if it conflicts with the part we added, the part we added is what
supersedes it.
Is the reality.
Yeah. So Yetta always says, success is in the details. And we're glad that we can be clarifying your options, because when your options are clear, your wisdom will flow.
Moving forward with the Dekker team. Moving forward together with